Welcome to episode number 177 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording September the 18th, 2022. My name is Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
My name is Ian. I'm a social media pariah on Vancouver Island.
Who are you?
Yeah, that's me.
I'm Alan. I may or may not be Ian. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, and overall safety nerd.
Sound a little different tonight, Alan.
It's the modulator.
Sure it's not a stand-in?
Just a voiceover, yep. I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
I'm Greg. I'm in Southeast Georgia. I'm a former Army infantryman, avid prepper, and whiskey enthusiast.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Josh. I live in the U.S., and I'm still in the Army Guard as a UH-60 crew chief. I started life as a Marine. Don't ever forget that. And I've been in about 14 years.
Awesome. Well, if you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy some swag. We've got both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch available at prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
All right, if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. Also, we want your feedback, good or bad, or if there's just a topic you want us to cover. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some predatory content for you in this episode. Terrible. We're going to start off with some recent news articles that will update you on our personal preps, and then we'll get into the main topic, everyday carry for your hunting setup. So let's move into the news.
So I found this one pretty interesting. It's an article. This particular one's from Global News. Again, I do seek out the most offensive news sources possible. The EU, so the European Union, no longer considers Hungary to be a democracy. I think we talked about that last week. I'm not sure whether it was on the air or just in our private off-air chat, but now they're actually cutting off the funding or the share the social aspects of socialism from the rest of the EU into Hungary. So that's interesting. They're kind of cutting ties with this prime minister who is looking more and more like a dictator, because apparently socialism is the answer for everything, despite it never actually working.
Well, they weren't towing the line, and Viktor Orban's been in office for, a dozen years, and now he's a problem because he's actually, bucking the trend, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then a second article here from the National Post. Again, I look for the inflammatory content. We all know the benefits of walking. We've had entire episodes about that. Which is cool, but now they're kind of diving a little deeper into it and saying that 10,000 steps a day is good, but if you walk 8,000 steps a day at a faster rate, which increases your heart rate a little bit more, it's actually better for you. So it's an interesting study that just keeps reiterating the fact that getting out and moving is excellent.
So you're telling me those guys in the 80s that were using the hand weights and short shorts and doing the speed walking were right all the time, all along type of thing?
It doesn't necessarily need to be the short shorts, but the rest of it, yes.
Hang on. I have to say, the shorter the shorts, the more tactical you are.
Very, very true.
It is. That's why you look at your special forces, your rangers, all that good stuff. The key is to look as homosexual as possible, and that means you are extremely deadly.
You're fierce.
Exactly. Because nobody's gonna mess with the guy whose junk's about to fall out. Let's be honest.
So Rhodesian bush shorts, that's the way to go, is what you're saying?
That's it.
All right.
Go on Amazon or Google Ranger panties. Get you a set of them.
I got the flag ones.
Ouch. All right. As for myself, I got an article about India. They restricted their rice exports due to a bad crop and I guess a little bit of flooding. Obviously, Pakistan had a way worse flooding, but India still got some as well. They export rice to 150 countries and provide, I think it's a third of the world's rice supply, and they just halted all rice exports. So put that in your back pocket. it's harvest time.
Or your Mylar bag or wherever. Yep.
Or a Mylar bag or some sort of storage unit anyway. And of course, we've been harping about this for 3 years now, that economic downturns are coming. But it's bad when the JP Morgan CEO comes out and says we're about to experience something worse than a recession. I'm like, I guess he doesn't want to drop the D word, and not the dirty D word. I'm saying like the depression word. But anyway, so there's a Fortune article here. It says, Jamie Dimon's actually kind of concerned. So it's gone mainstream.
Is it depression or is it oppression?
Well,
Yes.
potato, a little column A, a little column B. Yeah.
One leads to the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Potato, French fry, it's all the same.
That's right. Freaking fries. Yeah. That's all I got.
Well, I've got a
Ian.
couple
Appreciate your
kind of
good news.
relating. Oh, sorry.
He was just chirping. That's all. Nothing important.
Okay. Kind of relating to my weather nerdness. There's a rare tropical storm right now that has lashed Alaska, caused a whole bunch of shoreline damage and some flash flooding and stuff inside, more in the central area of Alaska. Didn't get south, as far as I know, into BC or anything, but it's pretty rare and did a fair bit of damage. There's a link in there. I know it's from CNN. Just calm your cool your jets.
So, like, 4 people were mildly inconvenienced by this?
I thought you were going to say 4 people actually watched or read the CNN article. I don't know, but judging by that,
No. I think that's overestimating. But
I was just about to say I probably just upped their readership by about 150%. So.
Yeah, even though I can see Alaska from my house, pretty much like Sarah Palin can see Russia from hers. But honestly, we had nothing here at all. It was kind of weird.
I'd just like to see Sarah Palin.
Well, not bad. Kind of guilty.
And
Don't
yesterday,
pretend you're not old enough, Ian.
That's what I said.
So yesterday, Taiwan was hit with a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. They did issue a tsunami warning for the shores of Japan, but luckily nothing really came out of it. Haven't really heard a lot of reports of extensive damage. There was some damage and some knockdown buildings. Of course, they don't, I think, have building standards like we do, but and to be honest, it really didn't get much media attention either. Kind of shocking, but
yeah,
this is the only place that I go for my media. So
usually they'll do like humanitarian notes on that kind of stuff, but I haven't seen anything either come across the military side yet.
Yeah, it's interesting because they get the typhoons and the earthquakes on the regular. So maybe this isn't a big deal for them as much as the average country that doesn't get hit that often. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard anything about it either.
I'm going to jump back into, before we get too far, I'm going to jump into one of the notes already here from Jessica. Was mentioning that Greg wore these on the 4th of July running at the Canadian border. Jessica, we're going to need pictures of that. I recall a picture it didn't happen.
I got you.
Let's make that happen. Maybe not on the air because we don't want to get banned.
Okay.
But you can email us at feedback@trevorpodcast.ca or hit us up in the Discord and we'll take a look at that.
Absolutely, we will. All right, let's move into what we've done lately for preps.
So I finally got back to doing some work on my Faraday box. It's kind of been sitting stagnant for a couple of months, so I thought I'd better get back at it before that 4-letter swear word hits here, aka snow. So I thought I would get that done.
Good word.
Yeah, I helped a fellow coworker finish getting some of her firewood in for the season. She had to have surgery on her wrist, so she's kind of laid up. And I did a quick chimney inspection prior to lighting my fire for the first time. I haven't, but just do a quick inspection, make sure there's been no damage over the summer, like it wasn't hit by a tree branch or some other damage. So that's about it for me.
Oh, very nice. For myself, I know this is going to be shocking. It's ham radio related. So just so everybody's forewarned. Got my mobile HF set up, dialed in a lot nicer than it was. Had a couple of microphones for my mobile rigs modified by a ham operator in the States that actually specializes in modifying the hand mics for the specific model that I've got, which is the Zygu 6100 and the 5105. Got them back. Way better audio. It's working fantastic now. So they're kind of my main go-to portable systems. If I do have to go somewhere, they usually come along. So it's nice to get them all dialed in. Goofed around with my base station here at the house. And got the audio all set up to actually come through the boom mic here that you see on the screen that I use for podcasting. So now I can transmit with this microphone. So it's kind of nice. I don't have to push anything or do anything to make it transmit. So it's a nice little change. I've been trying to get that work for quite a while and finally got her to work. Quick update or upgrade on the HF rig here as well. So a little audio recording chip in there so I can record things and play them back automatically on loop if I want for reasons. And then cleaned out the truck, getting it all ready for that 4-letter swear word snow that's coming. It's coming quick. So she's all cleaned out and getting her ready to go for the winter.
We get a lot of that here in Georgia.
Yeah, so where's the ban button?
Greg, just okay.
But hold on,
I think he came out just to try to get kicked off.
Maybe.
It's really about goals in life.
We haven't worked out the code phrases for the HF yet, so you can't even like pre-record your chairs against the wall loop, to send out because we don't know what it means yet. We have to
Well, maybe I'll just loop chairs against the wall over and over and over. And
John has a long mustache, all that stuff.
Yeah, I could do that too. Yeah, yeah. Right now it just loops CQ. But
I thought it was CGN.
Well, we were doing that, but it worked obviously, so I can erase that one now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Actually, if you did CQ over and over again, it'd probably be like a beaver with running water. Like you just probably drive some poor sad ham nuts because you keep on trying to respond to you. If you leave enough of a gap in between the recordings, they'd probably just go right off the deep end. Anyway,
yeah, it's true.
As for myself,
new project.
There you go. Life goals. So despite the fact I've been gone for 4 weeks, something like that.
Sorry, who are you?
Exactly.
New panelist, aren't you?
Surprisingly, not a whole lot of preps done. Changing jobs at work.
All CGN, huh?
Yeah, not a single deal on CGN, not a single one. Wow.
You've changed.
Why are you even here?
I know.
You didn't prep anything. You didn't do any CGN deals.
Yeah,
you didn't split any firewood.
No, don't get carried away now. So, I did actually do some firewood splitting. As a matter of fact, I did that yesterday and today. So, yesterday was using the chop saw to do the 16-inch lengths for medium-sized logs and branches, and I managed to break the chop saw completely with metal fatigue, and it just literally flipped back up and kept on going and went right over the deep end there and kind of split in half. So, tested to failure. And it's it was a 40-year-old chop saw, and I think I got it for $30, but yeah, it's gone now. So that was the last. It was really within a couple branches of being the last of the year. So the firewood has been split for next year already for this year. So I'm a year ahead of things, which is good. Finished a fuel rotation. As you can see, I'm in a new location here for the camera. This is just the beginnings of a new office/reloading room. It is so new that the paint, I can't even put up anything up against the wall yet because the paint still has to cure. So did the closet today and everything.
It's going to be real awkward when your kid needs to move back in.
No, it's gonna be great because they're gonna have to sleep out in one of the chicken coops or something. Speaking of which, we have to pour one out for the big black cock. Unfortunately, my black rooster died. So
I read that really differently in the show notes.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. Yeah, so unfortunately, even though he was like the patriarch of the all the chickens and did his job really well, keeping away the hawks and everything else. He was with us for 7 years, but he finally moved on to the great big coop in the sky. So that was that. But yeah, so like I mentioned, changing jobs, which has kept me away from the show here, changing bases with the jobs and moving my daughters to a second new apartment, meaning my alternate bug out location in Vancouver is set up now. Did a couple range trips, a little bit of camping with the girls and, pseudo range trips involved with that. Wild blackberries just finished up for the harvest. Did a hay run for the animals for the winter. Just finished winterizing the splitter and doing a Jenny run like an hour ago. Emptying out the 2 of the 3 chainsaws for the winter, just so that the carb doesn't sit there with gas in it all winter. And last minute painting to keep my dreaded 4-letter word away, which is rain and rust. So that's
So
pretty
did
much
you
it.
buy your hay, Ian, or do you harvest it yourself off your farm, or?
Oh yeah, no, it's just a pile of rocks where I live, so there's no way we're getting hay off this. So right down the road, there's actually a guy who has a chicken farm and a hay farm, and yeah, we have a good deal going. I sold him a bunch of duck meat a little while ago, so we kind of worked up a relationship going. So I get a good deal on that, and then I just went down and picked up. Since we're down to like 10 or 2 alpacas, 10 bales will do us for the winter now, so it's pretty cheap.
And
Okay, because
KPN
somebody had put it on the Discord about how actually cheap hay was. Out east, it was like $30 for a huge round bale. Somebody just around the corner from me had one up, bunch of them up, and they were only asking $40 for the big, huge round bale. So I don't know why the price has gone down. They used to be $60 or $70.
Yeah, no, it was relatively cheap here too. I just do the 30-pound square bales just because they're easier to stack and maneuver around on the uphill farm. But yeah, no, I got a really good deal on them, so it was pretty good. But yeah, that's it for me.
So as much fun as it might be to keep KP in the dark, there we're talking about a rooster.
I did mention the fact it was a black rooster. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just there's a lot, maybe a lot. So we are in fact talking about a rooster.
I am fairly sure that the YouTube algorithm is going to have the exact same reaction as KP.
Yeah.
Well, so
and that's why Ian's not allowed on the show so much anymore.
Nope.
So we had a big black hawk on the acreage that everybody liked to pet, and my wife liked to cuddle now and then, and like he was hand raised, and he was a fixture around here. We really
he even made an appearance on the podcast.
Yeah,
he was on the
like,
podcast.
We liked petting the cock. It was pretty good. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, it's a great episode. Oh, it's going to be one of those nights.
Yeah.
And so you won't find us on Facebook or YouTube anymore. It'll just be on the podcast app until we manage to get banned from Podbean.
So for episode 178, look for us on tour.
I've definitely been talking to my wife about getting chickens and roosters on one property because you can use what they eat scraps, they produce chicken poop, and you can use it as fertilizer. So it's an evolution, and it's genius. And I just now have found out about this, but it's one of those things. It's like I'm coming into winter. I need to wait until next year to actually get it started.
Well, I mean, you can also pick up like chickens on the cheap generally in fall time because people want to thin out the herd, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested, I mean, yeah, you can usually get a couple hens and a rooster, and then nature will take its course in spring, and you'll have a bunch of baby chickens running around. But yeah, no, I mean, it's good to, instead of having a green bin, we just have the chickens, right? Like between that and the alpacas and the dogs, we don't throw anything out.
Yeah, it's all waste to them. They eat it.
Yeah, no, they're pigs with feathers. They really are. They'll pretty much eat anything up to and including cooked chicken. They will. So
pigs are a whole nother level. You have to ask Hillary Clinton about that. What?
Yeah, we had a farmer that did the same thing. So
yeah,
there went another one getting suicided.
Hell, YouTube, it's been great.
Yeah.
Facebook, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
All right, Alan.
I don't even know how to follow that. We made some butternut squash soup. Canned about 6 liters of that, so that's going to keep us going for a while. About 10 meals worth of cabbage rolls today, and another 5 liters or so of tomato sauce out of the garden. Tomatoes out of the garden into sauce. Also harvested some bell peppers, some jalapenos, and more cherry tomatoes than can be counted. So I'm taking some of those to work tomorrow to give away because we've got they're like gremlins after you get them wet. Like there's just so many of them. This past couple of weeks I've been working lots, and my job, I think I've mentioned before, is now like almost 3 hours of driving every day back and forth. And so I haven't had a lot of time to do things around the house, and I've been taking a deeper dive into my studies as at college. Now that I'm 40, it's probably a good time for me to go get a degree. So that's about it for me. I've been getting smarter.
Well,
That's
Really?
all I got.
Hey, Josh.
I really haven't done much. I got 2 more boxes of MREs, and everybody's like, "Oh, MREs." But hey, if you can pick them up, I'm doing air quotes right now, cheap. I grab them because they're still quick, easy to grab. And since we're on hunting, you could take one in the woods with you if you plan on spending all day out there, even though they are like 3,000 calories or something like that. And that's all you need for one. You split it up. I got a cot. Yeah, I mean, you field prep them, field dress them, or field strip them, and you can have 3 meals in one MRE, which is 1,000 calories per meal, 3,000 calories in a day, plus you're hiking, whatever you're doing, hunting. It's awesome to have. I acquired a cot for recreational purposes mainly, but I thought about it at the same point, like I can leave it in my truck, and I always have a place that's off the ground. Because the ground absorbs so much heat from you if you get stuck out in the woods or something like that, or stuck on the side of the road, whatever. It's definitely a thing. And then my well water, because where I'm at, I have well water. I don't have city water, thank God. But clean my water filtration system because no matter what, I have backup power, so I'll always have well water and be able to do that supply for the family and kids. So it's pretty much about it. Working kind of takes a lot of time.
Well, at least you got something done, right?
Yeah.
I worked on developing some new skills, worked on some metalworking, woodworking projects, just really played around since I started my new job with the Forestry Commission. So I've just been doing a whole lot of computer training, stuff like that. So it's just kind of been do what I can with the hours I'm given at this point. Got to address my buddy here in the comments. Not so green salad. Hey, Sally. He was in my unit.
I heard that about
you. Been doing some hiking, stuff like that. Did a little fat wood prep for a camping trip next weekend. So really just little things here and there for me right now.
Very nice. Well, how about we move into the main topic of the show, shall we?
All right, I guess I was the first into the notes, so I'll go first here. Didn't really want to talk about hunting tools per se, because then we get into the age-old debates of what's the best grouse gun or whatever and everything else. So like skipping the weapons and ammo. But
and then Greg just jumps in and makes us all sad.
Yeah, exactly. And
Greg's answers all of them. So
don't worry, guys. I got one for everybody on the panel.
And he'll mention that he takes a pistol into the bush and all that stuff, just make us angry. So anyway, but that being said, no matter what you're doing with hunting, you're going to be playing with something that's going to it's designed to induce bleeding in animals, including humans. So generally, you're going to want to have a tourniquet because, as Andrew from the other podcast used to say, you will be exsanguinated in about 2 to 3 minutes if you have an arterial bleed. I'm sure Alan can back me up on that one.
2 to 3 minutes is a long time. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So even faster, of course. Yeah. But so tourniquet and then know how to use one. That'd be a good idea.
Wait a minute. Are you suggesting that we know how to use our equipment?
Yeah, it's so weird.
That's novel.
Maybe
novel idea.
Maybe even a better idea with a tourniquet is actually unwrap it too, so you don't have to sit there and worry about that tight wrap plastic that you can't get off of it.
I thought you always just YouTube something when you needed it right then and there.
Right.
Right. Yeah, especially when you're at a cell service too. It's like, I need to know how to. Yeah. Chad's still going to be able to cell service, so that's another whole issue as well. But yeah, so tourniquets was the first thing I thought of. Second, of course, I think Eric had the same idea is paperwork because let's face it. I'd rather not lose my firearms license because we don't have a 2A up here because I didn't bring my proper, permission slips from the government. So that includes hunting licenses, your firearms license, your tags, everything else. Only because, not that I really believe in permission slips from the government per se, but that is the law of the land for now until the zombie apocalypse.
Whether I believe in it or not, I believe in staying out of jail so much more. So.
Exactly. So.
Not that bad. 3 hots in a cot, you'll be all right.
And plus, you're a safety guy. You can help people.
And I heard you get to like hang out with cool people and I don't know,
do pull-ups under the stairs whenever you want.
I mean, you can still
come
get
out of there like
communication,
5
yeah.
degrees and no ability to get a
Yep.
job. They can't get a script.
Perfect. Radios, because Eric's here.
Oh, hey.
And not even so much UV5Rs per se, but
Oh.
even a couple FRSs or anything, just anything that's going to help you coordinate your one guy pushing the bush towards pushing the wildlife towards you, hopefully, and
Communication is key.
Yeah, you don't want to like shoot at something that just rustles in the bush randomly at the best of times.
Oh,
But it's
it
always
could
nice
be fun.
to let them
Could
know
be.
that you're arriving. In front
It's
of them.
coming right for us. Kill it.
Is it Jeff coming up my way, or is it somebody else?
Well, yeah, just
But also like coordinated radios. Don't just show up with your
Yeah.
own FRS
yeah.
and like hopefully somebody else has the same style. Make sure you've coordinated that before.
So on that topic, just to step in right quick, like
Hey, go for
a
it.
lot of people think that, oh, like me personally, like Eric, my stance on ham radio license in the States.
Yep.
But it's one of those things, like I can still take it in the woods with me, and if I have no cell service, I am then legally authorized to operate that thing without a ham radio license to get help, because
Yep.
it's an
Mhm.
emergency situation. So it's still beneficial even without the ham license.
And like,
Yeah, I mean,
let's-
it's
let's-
pretty hard to find a place where you can't get a repeater. I guess with all the mountains around, with all the repeaters sitting on top of them, you're probably gonna be able to hit a repeater no problem with even a UV5R decent antenna. So yeah, I mean, it never hurts for an emergency purpose.
For sure.
No, 100%. There's regulation in Canada as well as the States that allows you to transmit in emergent situations. Again, it boils down to your comfort level on knowing how to actually do that. That's the fun part. That's where it gets interesting, knowing how to set the radio up, how to actually find that repeater, how to actually transmit on it. That's the fun part. But if you're comfortable doing that, then yeah, regulations allow you to do it in an emergency situation. Absolutely.
I thought you just put in 911 for the frequency.
You do that, see how it works for you.
Something like that. Just pick a frequency and transmit. It'll probably work. That's fine.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
throw
it'll
it
be
out
fine.
there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
I did mention a knife, but that's a multi-branch topic as well. But obviously, I don't recommend bringing like a $2 Mora knife or whatever with you. I want something that's actually sharp and either holds an edge or the ability to sharpen up as you go. Even a disposable razor blade in this case for dressing the animal, because if besides it gross, you can just step on the wings and give it a yank. When you actually get a deer or something like that, you're going to want to process it in the bush so you don't have to carry the guts out and have the meat go bad on you. So yeah, have a decent quality knife, and not just for survival purposes.
Yep.
It's his poor operator who blames his tools.
Yeah, well, I think this is one time you don't want to cheap out on a knife for what you're bringing with you on an EDC basis, because
No, never cheap out on a knife. There are few things in life that are worth it. Your bed, your shoes, and your knife are all
There you go.
worth investing in.
that's true.
Mm-hmm,
Words of
That's a good
wisdom
point.
there.
Yeah.
I was always taught you spend money on your bed and your shoes because you spend most of your time in one or the other. I'll throw a knife in on that because when you really need it, you really need it.
That's a good point.
Well, then we
Yep.
got to start having more conversations with Greg, because he eliminates a couple of those and puts whiskey in place.
Yeah.
So
The whiskey's-
you bring the whiskey, I'll bring the shoes. Everything will be fine.
And the
Who's
whiskey's
bringing
gonna
the knife?
Yeah, well, after you take the shot,
Everybody.
Yes.
for the whiskey. Yeah. Yeah, so I just also had matches and lighter, so you can have a smoke while you're bleeding out, and all the important things. Also, obviously, to keep warm, because for example, like a lot of my friends in Alberta, when they go hunting during their season, it's usually -20 out. So when you do get that deer, the first thing they do before they even touch the animal is start a fire, because they want to actually keep warm while they dress the animal. Because when I was doing it in northern Saskatchewan in the middle of winter as well, it was like -40, and yeah, it's the first thing we did. We tagged a couple caribou and start a fire, because you're gonna need it over the course of the next couple hours.
It's actually a really good point, because most will get really excited about getting the animal or filling their tag or however you want to put it. And then, yeah, you get halfway through processing it and now you're freezing.
Because your
a great point.
adrenaline calms down.
Yep. Good
Well,
point.
you get all that nice hot blood on you for a while, and then all of a sudden you like
Yep.
pull your hands out, and then you're like,
that
oh,
too.
those are actually kind of cold
It's
now.
It's
Really
not
bad.
so hot anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just climb inside of it, right?
Well,
Are you
if
telling
you're in
me
Star Wars,
that Star Wars was inaccurate and I can't crawl into the body of an animal and stay warm for the night?
well, I
mean,
do. They do smell worse on the inside. I will agree with that part.
Yeah.
That I'm
Yep.
sure is true.
Ace Ventura did it with a rhino. It worked, right?
Yeah. So
okay. Well, you just do you, Alan, and let us know how it worked out.
The problem is I'm bigger than most animals, so I crawl in much of anything.
Same here.
You can just wear I guess a headdress or something. You can just put like the animal skin over top of yours, and
Just throw it jauntily around my shoulders for warmth.
What is it?
We've
Like
lost
70
to the neck, I heard.
70% of your heat's lost to your head. Cover your head.
There you go.
Speaking of which, yeah,
Oh.
I had toque on the list because,
Yep.
and not just any toque. Polyester is a no-no. I'm saying wool because where I am, it rains and the wool stay relatively warm in the rain, but also when it's minus 25 out or anything else, even if it's just twilight and it cools down fast and any sort of climate, basically, you're gonna want to have a toque going unless you're hauling that animal
Josh and Greg, do you know
around.
what a toque is?
Yeah, do you know what a toque is?
Yeah,
Me?
I was honestly literally scanning the notes right here. I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea what that
So
is.
Americans generally call it a beanie. Right?
Okay,
like
yeah.
Like a watch or like a watch cap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. A wool watch cap. Oh, that sounds so weird.
No. This is Canadian Prepper podcast, not American Prepper podcast. Come on now. It's a toque.
We'll
It's a
tell
toque.
you what it is, but it's a toque.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
toque, and we wear it while we're ootin' a boot.
Yeah, new doo boot it. We need our
I don't know what
toque.
you're talking about here. Me and Greg are slowly taking over. So
Or if you're my grandma, it was a toque. And that when I was a teenager, I found that very entertaining.
Yeah. So after you put on your toque, you're going to put on a headlamp over top of it because when do 90% of good deer hits happen? Right around twilight, just legally so, of course, but just before it starts to get dark and they start to come out for the evening.
You're gonna go with about half hour before sunset kind of deal.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, bang, and you're gonna be dressing an animal in the dark probably. So flashlight, and preferably headlamp style, or a big lantern. I suppose you could do beside you if you really had to. But
do you all use cat eyes up there? We call them cat eyes down here for when you're in the woods. You need to find your way out, and you want
You're
to
talking about the reflective straps.
The tacks that go on the trees, and they breadcrumb your way out.
My unit used to have them on the back of our ACHs and stuff too.
Yeah, well,
that's a good idea.
We don't have that stuff.
That's a good idea. Kind of put the reflective little markers on trees as you go, and then you can watch your way back out.
Yep. Yeah, because think about it, you're carrying an additional field dressed animal of 150 plus pounds. If you shoot a good one, you're going to want to get out of there quick.
Yeah,
and not have to backtrack. Would be a good idea.
Where I hunt with my buddies in the southern part of the province here. We do that during our scouting. We find that we put the tags on the trees in the fall, like before season, so that we don't have to remember to do it when it's 4 a.m. and we're hiking it in there and we're all hungover and trying to get into the stand before sunup.
Nice. That's a really good idea. I like that idea. Then everybody kind of knows ways in and ways out, and you're not guessing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
So a tarp. Now, not just to keep your delicate knees from getting damaged with the wet earth or anything else, but also doubles as a shelter. So obviously, if you want to have your game laid out on a tarp and it kind of work from there, so it doesn't get dirt and everything on the meat or on the dressed animal, you can also use it as emergency shelter. So that would make Darius happy, and just keeps the rain off as well. And game bags, obviously, some way of transporting that meat without it getting, contaminated.
Kind of important. Yep.
Yeah, was not much point in shooting if you want to unless you want to eat gravel with it. So afterwards for your delicate little hands, you got to make sure you got some sort of wipes. So you get your alcohol wipes or your paper towel, water, whatever. Don't throw water in the animal. Generally, it's gonna make things skanky. But water for your hands just to keep keep the blood off, so you don't look like you're a mass murderer when you come out of the bush. It's always a good idea.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
all the looks afterwards, it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, so especially when you wipe your forehead when you're halfway through it or whatever. And
the line at the gas station just got a whole lot shorter.
It's like, what did someone said? Yeah. So obviously the water, it doubles as the water that you're going to drink, and your snack water. Just try not to wash your hands in that water, then drink it. And just
you beat me to it.
Yeah, I figured I'd just clarify that right off the bat. Unless you're in Red Dawn, in which case you're supposed to drink the blood of the animal that you shoot. I don't know.
Listen, blood's a great source of iron. If you are anemic, then that's probably not a bad thing for you.
Very true.
Yeah, or if you're Patrick Swayze, you're just the coolest guy on the planet. Then in which case you're supposed to do these things. So
I mean, he's not. I mean, he's probably pretty cool right now, but
he's definitely cool right now.
Too soon. Too soon?
Never too soon.
I bet you still got a mullet too.
A glorious one, no less. But 550 cord for everything from hanging animals to tying them to the stick if you want to do the African carry type of thing. Obviously, putting up your shelter, tying a splint to your leg, anything like 550 cord. When do you not need it, right? And then the only thing I was going to throw into this conversation was the ouch pouch, which I'm sure Alan will expand upon greatly.
Oh yeah, there's like 3 different things we could just completely go off on in your list there.
Yeah, so feel free. I just throw my 2 cents in there.
I actually wasn't going to go off on that, but a few Band-Aids probably not a bad idea. A few pairs of gloves for all kinds of reasons. You put them on before you need them, ideally, and it'll help keep your hands clean rather than having to clean them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of triangular bandages for the just in case moments, and duct tape because it will help prevent blisters if you have to hike out. Beyond that, up to your taste. But a couple of things that I would have added to that list. That's a great list. I appreciate that your tourniquet is right up on the top there. I would add, of course, your wound packing gauze and your pressure dressings to that, because sometimes the tourniquet is not indicated. I throw some trail marking tape on that, or the little retroreflective dots. And to add onto your flashlight and headlight, or headlight, is a purple light, because it shows up blood really well if you're tracking in the dark. The other thing I have the trail marking tape for is marking my last known point when I'm tracking. So if I find a blood smear and I have to track an animal, then I can mark that spot. If I go off, if I can't find it, I can come back to that spot and try again. And then the last thing that I would add would be dry socks. And that's just one of those moments that I experienced. I was trying to get through a thicket to follow some tracks, and ended up knee deep in a marsh, which made for a really, really uncomfortable morning sitting around the stand, like minus 2 or 3, or just below freezing again for the Americans, just below freezing weather. I was just wet and cold and uncomfortable, so a pair of dry socks would have been really nice for that.
It's funny what a pair of dry socks will solve.
Just about everything. Dry socks and Motrin, right, boys?
You got dry socks and Motrin, you can cure cancer. You can take over the world.
Sounds like a Navy corpsman.
That's exactly, like, you can do anything. You're Hulk at that point.
Oh boy. So with my list, I'm starting off with the whiskey and beer. Got to pack that. Just requirement.
So that's just for when you miss and you're sad and you go back to camp and you got to do something. It's just time.
You got to warm up. You got to thin blood a little bit.
Or after you've got the deer and now you're having a little celebration.
Now we have 2 personalities right here.
Or
half glass full, half glass empty type of folks.
Or if you cut yourself, you can sterilize the wound.
Oh,
lest you become Jack Daniels, as we were talking about before the show.
I'm pretty sure that Ian is trying to refer back to one of our earlier episodes where we talked about hunting, and both of us failed
got
miserably.
Yeah,
completely failed miserably. So yes, the whiskey and beer was pulled out for that, but it could be pulled out for both scenarios. Similar to what everybody else has already said, a little personal first aid kit is an absolute requirement with some tourniquets. I always carry around a little IFAC with some tourniquets, some quick clot. That's an everyday carry thing for me. I just take it and make sure it's in the truck with me when we go. Ian already stomped my parade here, radios. I know it's shocking for me.
But actually, let's go deep into that for 1 second.
Yeah,
here.
sure. Game on.
UHF, VHF. What do you think for the bush?
So we go with the FRS, which I believe is UHF.
It's UHF. Yeah.
So that's what we run with, and we've had nothing but good luck with it. Normally with the little Baofangs on 5 watts. Don't tell
allegedly.
Allegedly. But that's what we run with, is just FRS. And it's worked perfectly for us, but we're not usually all that far away from each other. That works the best for us, but others will obviously vary depending on your terrain and your area of operation. If you can talk everybody in your group to get ham licensed, then you can all chat on the ham repeaters. That'd be awesome, because then you can go pretty much any distance you want within reason, but you're probably looking at least 50K at that point, which it should be good enough for a hunt. But But yeah, we just find that the FRS is good. And
But I thought
we get everybody.
I thought those little Walmart blister pack Motorola's can go 22 miles.
Hey, they can
Yeah,
if
they
one
can.
guy's standing on the top of a mountain and the other guy's standing at the bottom. We got a direct line of sight to each other.
Oh, that's how that works.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So real quick, we got a guy in the comments asking about the best way to get a hunting/fishing license. I don't know where you're at. So I know a lot of US states, they even have an app. Like you can just get on your phone. You've got your hunter's safety tracking record stuff, from your class whenever you got it. And you can literally just buy your license or whatever. You can schedule if you're on a WMA. You can do all that right there on your phone, and it's all recorded right there. So you can keep your phone in your bag, keep it in a dry bag, of course. And it's super easy. I don't know where you're at, like I said.
The vast majority of our land is out of cell service for one.
Yeah.
So it's problem number one. But every province has its own course. But for like upland game and large game, you have to get a hunter course under your belt, which we'll talk about later during the podcast challenge. But for actually saltwater fishing and freshwater fishing, you actually don't need a course. You just pay the government fee for your permission slip. And most of it's done online now ahead of time. And you can fish right away. But hunting is going to require basically a weekend of your time to get squared away and get a course under your belt. So long story short, eventually everything gets done online once you get the hunter course under your belt.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all pretty much have it the same way that we're set up here. We also have to go through a safety course as well. And then, like I said, most states now have a general app where you can pull everything up right there. One thing I do recommend, you are going to be in the woods, like you said, so your big hunts, you're not going to have cell service. Pull it up before you lose all your signal. Screenshot all that, so you've got it right there. You can go into your pictures, and it's all right there for whatever game warden or whatever.
Interestingly enough, they changed the law here in BC that the only thing you have to do is provide the 9-digit number for your hunter license, and they have basically iPads with everything preloaded for everybody in BC, so that as long as you provide the number, they can tell exactly what tags you have and what your license is and everything else, and so you don't have to produce a license or anything now.
No, not the states. They have it on you because it also comes with your tags, and if you don't tag it where it dies, you get fined.
No, we have tags as well, but generally it's like everything's associated with your hunter number anyway. So for like upland game, like grouse and stuff, there's no tags, of course. So just the larger stuff.
And since Mark's mentioned here, he's in Ontario. I threw a link in the live chat here. It's huntandfishontario.com. That's where you can go and buy your fishing license. You can do it all online. Like we've already mentioned, there's no course or anything you have to go through for that. You just got to pay the fee, and they mail you your outdoors card with your license on there for fishing. And then it's the same setup for hunting, but you need to go through and do the safety course first. And then they'll add on the appropriate licenses and such to that card. But it all starts at huntandfishontario.com, where you apply for your outdoors card, and then you start going through the various processes. But fishing, you just pay the money. Hunting, you got to do the course first.
Yeah, there is actually sub animals that are called Schedule B animals here in my province anyway, that basically you don't need a hunting license to hunt because they're considered invasive or pests, and in which case you can basically just go free for all on them. Which is kind of interesting. Like everything from crows to European rabbits to a bunch of this stuff is like, yeah, if you can tag them, go for it. But yeah, it just depends on the animal type.
Yeah. So long story short of it, check your regulations for your various province, or if you're in the States, your various states, because of course they're all different for depending on where you're located, just to make things interesting.
Yep.
Next up on my list, because we've kind of beaten licenses to death, because that was next up after radios, but a good pair of boots. I don't think anybody's mentioned that yet, but a good pair of boots that's going to kind of get you around and keep you warm, because you don't want to be wearing your ratty running shoes with a bunch of holes in them. they're gonna fall apart quick, and you're gonna be hurting. So,
well, I'll mention that. Ellen mentioned that pre-show, I think, just about the having the good boots. But that's one thing I forgot to mention about what I did for preps. I picked up those 2 pairs of surplus Gore-Tex boots.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, specifically for the rain season, because of that, you want to have those dry feet, so you don't just sit there and be miserable all day long. But yeah, I mean, if you can splurge, just get something that's either, you know, waterproof, heavily water resistant, dub and dup, whatever, like some way to keep it your feet dry. That's huge, right? And wear them in before you go hunting. Don't wear them in on the hunt.
Great idea. Yeah.
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 Do a couple. Sorry, go, Jeff.
One of the other good ideas or good reasons for the hiking boots is traction. You're out there where it's going to be muddy, it's going to be slippery. It's, you know, the last thing you want is something that's got crappy tread and you find yourself at the bottom of a ravine somewhere.
Yep.
Well, or to, you know, like Alan was mentioning with the duct tape, like to discover that it gives you a blister on the upper right side of your right foot. 10 minutes into your walk, it's like, oh, well, that just ruined my entire weekend.
Yep.
It's never good. So yeah, good pair of boots for sure. And then I added a couple things to my list here for back at camp once the hunt's done for the day. I have started bringing, just for entertainment purposes, and because why not, my portable HF rigs, because why not practice setting them up in another location? The more times I take them out, set them up, and break them down, the more I learn. And it's something to kind of kill some time in the evening. A deck of cards as well. Some loose change, maybe get a couple rounds of poker going or something.
Well, I thought after whiskey at strip poker.
Well, if that's what happens at the camp, stays at the camp. So
that's the infantry motto.
That's just
that's right.
The way it is.
Doesn't Grand Thumb always say that you go tip to butt, just like the Navy or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, the mobile HF rig. That's actually a really good point, because when I lived up north, because there's usually large groups hunting for the local villages and stuff, they would actually use the mobile HF rig to coordinate the hunt, and because the caribou herds would like migrate and go all over the place, right? And so
cool.
they kind of use that to coordinate beyond line of sight distance, because just the VHF wouldn't cut it. And it was interesting to see. Like, I'd never actually, I think it's probably my first introduction to real HF usage. But,
that's actually kind of an interesting way of using it. I didn't think about that. I just had it as kind of an entertainment type of thing in the downtime. But you could use it if you're tracking large herds and over large distances. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
In Virginia when they're pushing deer and bear with dogs, because they're allowed to run dogs down there to push.
Yep. Nice. Cool. Now I got another use for them. We don't hunt in areas that big, so I'll just keep it for entertainment. We've already said flashlights, some toilet paper, or leaves in the bush, whichever you choose. But
good ones.
I figured that'd be a good one to pack. And I'll leave it at that. That's my list.
I really don't have much to add to what everybody else has said. Obviously, you're out hunting and with a firearm, and so are other people. And depending on their level of safety or whether they give a crap or not or whatever, like somebody said, oh, there's a rustling in the bush, I'll just shoot. So it's not a bad idea, to have your first aid kit. I put the Quick Cloud in there. Eric mentioned it. We've said radios, and I did say if they're not in an area of cell coverage, have another mode of communication, a sat phone, maybe a spot unit, something like that. And I put down carry some water or a way to purify the water, a Sawyer, a Berkey, something like that, and some snacks.
All right. I guess I'll just roll into mine.
Sure, go for it.
Not much really changed from mine from everybody else's. It's just the typical stuff that you carry. The only thing additional that I didn't put it in my notes here was so in the military you have beans, bullets, bad guys, and bandages, right? So gotta have batteries for the flashlights. You gotta have beans, which is food. You gotta have bullets for the gun or arrows, and you gotta have animal, right? Also, a hunter safety orange, which is required during gun season here, not during bow season, but I still carry it with me because if you do get in those remote locations, you can also use it as a VS-17 panel, which is a type of signaling device for if they pull out the aircraft to search for you. Because from the sky, if they have nods, they can see your fire and other people can see the panels and where to go. Me having an aviation background and being medevac, doing those search and rescue missions, hoisting and all that stuff. It's a big help knowing your signaling devices as well while you're out there, so that way you can say point an arrow to where you're at, all that kind of stuff. But that's just a little bit more that I carry.
No, that's a good point with the Hunter Orange. It's a requirement here as well during rifle season to be wearing the Hunter Orange. But yeah, use it as a signaling device. That's really good idea.
Yeah, it's funny how the provinces all change around, like between crossbow usage and blazed orange and everything else. Like, yeah, we can use crossbows and no orange here, but yet the next province over is complete opposite. And it's it's funny how they all have different opinions on that depending on the government, I guess. But Darius did mention bear mace, but here, well, we have bear tags and the means to use them, so we're not trying to deter them or scare them away. We're actually trying to draw them in.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're hunting, right?
Yeah, well, we can't shoot grizzlies here anymore, right? So that's one thing. It's only certain groups can. So it's unfortunately, not a thing.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to carry if you're not hunting bear. Then some way to get rid of them if you don't want them around. But you also mentioned here like a shelter kit with some spare paracord. I think we've kind of covered that off.
Brad brings up the most important one.
He does. The most important point of the I can't believe none of us had it on our list. Can openers.
It's already on my keychain. I don't need it on my list.
Yeah, that's right.
It's in the carry, right?
And KP mentions, the small portable stool. That's true. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a log or whatever to sit on, it's like, it's sometimes the terrain doesn't allow for it, right? So those little triangular ones, I guess, that fold up nicely.
I've literally got one set up in a corner right here.
I carry one of those heater seats, like a little cushion pad.
Awesome.
I'll go into mine. So for my hunting, EDC is going to be pretty basic. It's like self-explanatory, just like everybody else's. It's going to be food, water, shelter, fire, extra pair of clothes, a trauma kit, and a boo-boo kit. One thing that I'm really surprised nobody said anything about chest seals.
Oh, good point.
That's true.
If we're talking about getting shot, our biggest area that we can be hit is going to be our torso. So if we can not have to make an improvised chest seal, definitely better to have an actual chest seal in a situation like that.
I carry one in my IFAC and I completely forgot to list it.
Right. I've got some pretty much the same setup that I have in my IFAC when I was in, plus a little bit more. But I've got a little pack that has my boo-boo kit and my trauma kit right there, all in one. My trauma kit's going to be super basic. I'll have a tourniquet on me, a second one in my kit, a chest seal, an Israeli bandage, and some quick clot.
Israeli bandage, that's another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I also carry a nasal pharyngeal.
I've got one of those too.
I had to use it, so it's one of those things. It's like
I haven't had to use it, but if I do, I've got that and the jelly to go with it.
Well, so I think it's also important, like I guess for all the non-hunter types out there, there's plenty of preppers that don't hunt, right? And we carry on about the first aid supplies so much here, but it's not that we're accident prone per se. But it was a pretty famous case in Ontario, I think. Was it 5-6 years ago? Where one of our NHL hockey players, he just retired from the NHL and he was out hunting and he shot a guy out of a tree stand.
I think that was Dick Cheney.
Well,
I was going to say that.
I thought he was a quail.
He shot him in the face with a shotgun. That's like completely different. This guy from like a couple hundred yards away shot a guy out of a tree stand because he thought it was a deer. And it was like, oh boy. And so, like, you never know what's coming out of the blue, right? Like,
wow.
And
I've never seen a flying deer.
Yeah, but I think he actually killed the guy too, which I'm pretty sure. And so I was like, oh my lordy. But yeah, it was interesting. You never know what's going to happen out there.
Yeah. We don't always pack our first aid stuff because of the people we're going out with. It's the people we're going out hunting not with.
Yeah.
Well, the adjacent hunters, like, because you
Yeah.
never know. I've seen some yahoos on some of these smaller islands too that I was out hunting on, and I was like, wherever they are, we were going to the opposite side of the island.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically had a door gunner for their truck, and I was like, oh boy.
Yikes! Those are some aggressive deer.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to touch base on a couple things I said. Like, if you'll notice, I put, a shelter kit, fire kit, water kit. That's going to be individual specific. Like, for me, I don't like just having, I'm not going to say like, oh, well, go get a Bic lighter and a magnifying glass. No, use your Met TC, like we talked about before. Have your redundancies, have gear that you've used before, you're familiar with, and just be familiar with what's good for you in case you have to use it. The time to learn how to use a specific item is not going to be when you need it. Like,
so again, you're saying we
Hold
should
on.
be prepared?
yeah,
Hmm?
yeah.
Practice
We should
what
know
you
how to use our
hmm?
equipment.
Yeah.
Unger brings up a good point in the live chat here as well, to have a good bag to carry everything in.
Yeah, so I can point out a couple, or I can suggest a couple different ones on a lower end as well as a higher end, or not really higher end, but a good quality one either way. The Fieldline Pro Series, like the Canyon packs, or really any of them, they're super affordable. They usually have a sling mount or a sling on them. They come with a lifetime warranty. Like, I think I paid $22 for my Fieldline Canyon pack. And I also have a Cabela's brand that has a rifle sling on it, but it goes up the center, whereas my Fieldline goes off to the side. And both are really well made. The Cabela's, though, is a little bit better quality, of course, but it's also $150. So try it.
Which is about 500 Canadian. Rock and Ryan Olson's got a good point in the live chat here about a compass might be a good idea. Yeah, I don't think any of us mentioned that.
Well,
No.
Terry mentioned it as well
Good-
there.
And then
good
Terry
point,
got in
yeah.
there right after. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I have one with me all the time, even at work. So, like, like in my bag, like a personal compass. And so I guess I just don't even think about it anymore. It's always kind of, I got a spare one in the hunting bag, I got a spare one everywhere. And
Same. It's just kind of like second nature at this
plus
point.
plus the iPhone, plus the maps.me, plus. So it's like the Backroads map books. I don't know if they have them in the States, but you can buy region-specific Backroads map that show like not highways, but forestry roads and stuff.
Yep.
And so those things are worth their weight in gold too. But yeah, they're just sitting in the truck all the time. So
Another one that, talking about maps, that I want to talk about is, it's an app, and if you have the service, wonderful. And the best scenario, if you're lost in the woods or injured or something, if search and rescue comes along, there's an app called What 3 Words, I believe.
yeah, we've mentioned it a few times. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one as well. I'm sure there's others. I'm not familiar with them.
Red app there. You can
Yep.
see that everybody uses those things, right?
Yeah, it's pretty widely used now, especially emergency service wide. They've got set up for that. And do you want to run through what it is, Greg? Or
Yeah. So pretty much what it is, it's just a GPS, and what it does is, once you basically you call for help, they'll have you pull up your What 3 Words, and basically you're given these 3 words. You give it to the search and rescue. They put it in, and it syncs your phones so that your search and rescue or your emergency response, whatever, has a direct line to you. It's gonna, if you pass out, you can't talk to them, you can't, kind of tell them what you're by. If you can at least get that much, again, those 3 words can be everything that, or from just helping you out of the woods to saving your life, Yep. But again, it just creates a GPS, pretty much a walking app directly to you through the woods. So
what's happened is they've go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it basically breaks down the world into 3 meter squares. So I mean, if you've got it, I wasn't aware that it syncs to the dispatch. I mean, you put in where you are, it'll pop up on the blue dot. You hit it, it'll give you the 3 words. You tell the dispatch your 3 words. They've got the computer program. They type in the 3 words, and they've got your exact location. Like I said, within a 3 meter square. So
and it's shockingly accurate too.
Yeah. So each of those 3 by 3 meter squares gets 3 words assigned to it, and that covers the entire world. And then the database knows what 3 words are in that square, and then it geolocates to that square, and they know exactly where you are. It's a really neat setup.
Yeah, and that's why we harp on people who are lost. Once we've made contact with you, stay put. We know where you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've given us your 3 words. If you wander off, and
if your 3 words have changed, they don't know where you are now.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not following a blood trail at that point.
Hopefully not. No, but yeah, good app to have. There's all kinds of different things you can have for being found, but that's a fantastic resource. So yeah, be familiar with that. And yeah, like Terry had mentioned there, have a map with you. Rock and Ryan Olson mentioned have a compass, and Terry mentioned it as well. Great things to have, and have an exit strategy if things go bad.
So
if they don't.
A couple more things that I wanted to touch on. So if you're, it was Josh that talked about the cat eyes. Yep. So every so many cat eyes, another thing you could do, depending on how far in, of course, you're going. If you're going, 20 miles in, that's a hell of a haul. But every few cat eyes, crack a chem light, hang it up. Those things are going to be, those, depending on which one. I think it's the white ones last about 8 hours. The green ones last about 12. So if you're at that point, you can at least see your way, out.
That's a good point too.
So, and if nothing else, you can see, every so many, like you can see ahead.
Yep. So
if you can't see the next tree or figure out which way to go, you can't see the trail, your batteries die, your other ones fell out, your chem lights can also be used for signaling, make foxtail, flaming rock, whatever you got to do, but yeah,
good point.
So
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody on the panel have anything else to add to the list or anything that we've forgotten?
Don't think so.
No. Well, with that,
I'll think about something after we get off here.
I'm sure you will. That's right. That's what our next episode's for.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the podcast challenge, shall we?
All right, for the podcast challenge this week, I mean, like I mentioned before, not every prepper is a hunter, and vice versa. So it might be worth your while just to complete the provincial hunter education course in your local area, even if you're not planning to hunt. And the reason being is that it works for us in the fact that it might strengthen the case for gun ownership by the pumping up the hunter numbers a bit. Also aids in your own personal wildlife knowledge because it talks about everything from just carrying capacity to where to find animals and animal recognition and so on and so on. And chances are you're probably gonna meet people that are like-minded. So I think it's worth your time, even if you have no intention to hunt, just to go ahead and take the course.
Yeah, it's another way to kind of learn something different. And yeah, like Ian said, even if you don't plan on going out and hunting anything, you learn a whole lot about how things work and where certain animals will be and how to find them. And yeah, it's worthwhile to go and yeah, you'll definitely run into some like-minded individuals as well. It's a good idea. Upcoming events.
I have a question. Did anybody actually go to TACOM last week?
Nope.
Not me.
Nope. No, I think Andrew and the guys from the other CPP were there, but I don't think any of us did. So,
Nope.
Interesting.
And then Alan's got in here first responder and EMR level first aid in London starting October the 8th for either 4 or 9 days, depending on your level. Register at pulsepointcanada.com. Alan may or may not be making an appearance. It depends on whether or not he identifies as Ian or Alan on those days.
So I showed up and he immediately left. That was so weird.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Birds aren't real.
All right, Jeff, you got a weather blurb?
Yeah, I got a couple things going on right now. Even though the hurricane season has been fairly non-existent, there is one good hurricane going on right now, Fiona, and it made a direct hit on Puerto Rico. Last word is the whole island is without power. I mean, they have a pretty fragile grid to begin with, and it's not uncommon to have power outages there, but to have the whole island completely go dark is a little out of the ordinary, shall we say. The government claims that they have enough food rations to feed 200,000 people 3 meals a day for 20 days. The problem is the population's 1.4 million. So obviously not everybody's going to need rations, and hopefully there's people there that have got food stores and whatever, but if it's really, really bad, they're going to be feeding more than 20,000 or 200,000 people. So it's not going to last 20 days. Hopefully their airport isn't that badly damaged. They can get some flights in with water and some kind of food rations or whatever. So I've thrown a link in there from AccuWeather. If there's any good news out of that, the hurricane's expected to veer to the north. It'll brush Cuba on the east side and run up the shore, but it probably will miss the continental United States. You may get some outlying bands of maybe some wind and some minor rain, but they're not calling for anything serious out of that. On the other side of the states, after a long, hot, and dry summer, Northern California is about to see some much-needed rain and cooler temperatures. Of course, the danger with that is they've had so many fires that the ground has been stripped of vegetation and everything else, and there's nothing to hold the rain back. So, again, flash flooding is always a concern in those areas.
Fair enough.
And we wait for the snow.
Just some quick napkin math there. So basically, they got 3 meals for the entire population for like not quite 3 days. So they didn't even follow their own advice and have a 72-hour kit for the population. So,
my aviation, one of my sister units is actually the Puerto Rico National Guard. They're there constantly. We were actually just on deployment and got off deployment in January, so they're back home now. And they have the full medevac units, they have the full assault units, and they're up and running down there, working full steam.
Interesting thing about a lot of those islands, like I don't know about Puerto Rico because I mean it's a bigger island, right? And San Juan might not be the only one, but a lot of them only have one airport. So if it's damaged, they're kind of SOL, right? So, I mean, I'm hoping they have two. They have one international, and then they have the auxiliary National Guard, which I think you can land G3 on. Okay. So yeah, like it'd be interesting to see because most of the smaller islands will definitely only have one airport, in which case, if it gets flooded or damaged, they're completely out of luck. So
All right, deal of the week.
Yeah, so on the hunting theme, I know people are going to poo-poo it a lot, but the Charles Daly Turkish shotguns are on sale at 10 to Canada. Which is, trust me, a bare bones basic budget shotgun line. But when you can get a semi-automatic 20 gauge shotgun for like $250 right now, and I think a single shot 12 gauge for 130, if it's the barrier to entry is the cost of the hunting rifle and stuff, maybe if you're just getting to a small game or something, might be worth checking out because you're not going to get any cheaper than that.
No, not even
used.
I can attest to those, Charles Daly. I actually own one in a 12 gauge semi-auto, the tactical version.
Yeah, I've actually got a few Charles Daily myself, and I don't mind them. Like, I mean, are they perfect? No, and are they high end? No, but
They're reliable.
yeah,
I call them a brush gun. So if you beat it,
Yeah.
drop it, whatever, throw it away, get another one.
exactly. Like, I don't feel bad if it gets a scratch on it, and yeah, like I haven't got a whole lot of money invested in it, and yeah, they go boom every time I pull the trigger. So hey,
What
good
more
enough for
can
me.
you ask for?
Yeah.
No.
I will say, like, I'm not sure. You said it was the single shots.
Right now we've got they've got everything, like they got the entire line on pretty much on some sort of discount. But right now the big sale is the 20 gauge semis.
Okay. The on the single shots though, I do want to say for anybody, like if you're looking at that to just basically entry level, don't go with the 12 gauge. That's the same company. I'm pretty sure like they contract that out. The 12 gauge is gonna hurt.
Well, it's so light.
It'll definitely shoot every time. Don't get me wrong, but I would adapt for a 20 gauge because one, if you can handle a 12 gauge, you can handle a 20 gauge better. And two, it's not gonna hurt. That single shot on those is gonna hurt. I promise.
Well, they're all expired copies of, because I guess the patent expired on the old Beretta 412s, I think it was, and so they just they copied the old Beretta model, and yeah, they're meant to be light, which of course physics works against you at that point. So I just put a recoil pad on mine, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm a delicate soul.
You ain't shooting a 3.5 inch shell, you ain't nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. Hey, let's move in the shout outs. Anybody?
I got one. So
Here.
my buddy Lucas Brown, the man that got me into ham radio while we were in Korea with Third ID, he's getting out. He is literally 2 days away from going back to his everyday life, going towards the police academy. Big shout out to him. Best of luck. Best wishes, man, and we'll keep in touch. We'll definitely meet up again. So
Nice. Anyone else?
Nope.
All right.
No,
Well,
shout out to everybody for letting me be here.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to your first episode. I'm sure you'll be back for a few more.
Oh yeah.
So I'll bring episode number 177 of the Canadian Prepper podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Take a second, submit a review. It does help other people find us. If you want to get a hold of Alan, who has mysteriously disappeared, you can email him at Alan, that's Alan with one L, at prepperpodcast.ca.
And we do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click on the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. You can contact me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I'm frequently on the Discord.
Yeah, you can reach me at inspiredveteran@gmail.com or Discord. I can answer a lot of questions you all have. But that's the best way to reach me is Discord or email, since it goes right to my cellular device.
Awesome sauce. Well, you can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can also find my Canadian Patriot podcast on iTunes and YouTube. We record Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's pretty much about it for me for social media now, because I am not in the Discord chat for both CPPs. I don't know if it was the AI or somebody got sent in their vagina and complained, but I got banned. I got banned for life off Discord. That's
a new record for you.
Yeah,
that's impressive, guys.
Not even a warning, not even a violation or a strike, just straight to ban for life. So
tell you what, buddy, I'll make you a Discord down here in the States, and I'll give you the username and password, and you can log in.
There you go.
Yeah, the old VPN special. Yeah. So on that note, if you want to get on the Discord, which I would highly recommend, it actually has a good purpose. Email Eric if you want to invite. And yeah, it must be nice, guys, to be on Discord all the time. So
I've put a link in the live chat a few times this evening, so if anyone's looking for it, it's there, and I'll put it in the show notes as well when we publish this audio version.
Cool.
And Greg, where can everybody find you?
Oh, my apologies. You can hit me up at crossrifleranch@gmail.com, Or you can holler at me on Discord as well.
Right. You can reach me at rapidsurvival.com on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Thanks for joining us this evening. If I could talk, holy joy. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe.
And keep learning.